Welcome to Stroke Buddies Support Group meeting. My name is Ralph Preston. I run Stroke Buddies, and we are trying to bring more focused content to you as we move forward. Last week we had a great presentation by Dennis Falvey about being your own best healthcare advocate. And this week we have another stroke survivor, pay it forward person, Joe McCollough, who's going to do a presentation on automatic negative thoughts, better known as ants. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Joe.
Thank you, Ralph. And thank you for saying pay it forward, but I sort of like the term pay it backwards, because when I had my stroke, I got involved in some Facebook stroke groups. And a lot of those people were positive and they really set me on the right course. So hopefully I could pay it backwards to those people, those more recent people, and help them on their journey. So as you start with your journey, the most important thing is being able to control your emotions after a stroke. So everybody has a lot of automatic negative thoughts. So to start your post-stroke journey, you'll need to be in the right state of mind. As a stroke survivor, you are bombarded with negativity and limitations. Automatic negative thoughts. This is going to come from Dr. Daniel Amen. The link is right there if you'd like to. I'm going to play it from here. But if you're watching this later on, you can copy that link and you can watch it. So I'm going to stop the video, the PowerPoint presentation, real quick. And end slideshow. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go to this seminar. And let me stop this. Hold on.
So excited to be with you today.
I'm going to share my screen again. So here we go.
Hi, this is Dr. Daniel Amen. I am so excited to be with you today. I'm going to talk about one of my favorite topics that I just think is so important, and that is killing the ants, the automatic negative thoughts that come into your mind and ruin your day, and getting rid of the little lies that make you fat, depressed, and feeble-minded. So around the world, I'm sort of known as the brain doctor, the guy that scans people's brains and then helps to optimize it. And what a lot of people don't realize is how important programming the brain is in order to keep it healthy. So brain health, if you've heard me talk before, is actually pretty simple. You avoid things that hurt the brain, like brain injuries, drug and alcohol abuse, things like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease. But negative thinking is another one of the very important things to avoid. I happy, hopeful thoughts, and the brain works so much better when you correct the negative thinking patterns and you learn how to direct your mind in a positive way. And as you'll see from the presentation, it's not just about pie in the sky, happy thinking, because it just doesn't work. I want you to think in the most accurate, effective ways, because your brain will then work better. So I have a little slide presentation for you today. And the first slide you'll see are some of the little lies that drive aging and drive obesity and drive depression and drive anxiety disorders. So things like my memory's no good. That's normal. Well, I'm here to tell you that's not normal. That actually having memory problems is the sign of early trouble. So one of the little lies people tell themselves all the time are lies that actually put you in denial for problems going on in your brain. Another one I hear all the time that actually amuses me is I travel too much to be healthy. Or I interviewed a person once for help here at the Amen Clinics, and he was really overweight, and I just couldn't help myself. And I said, so tell me what's going on with your weight. And he said, well, I travel a lot. And I had just finished a 22-city tour for public television, and I went, well, I travel a lot. My weight's okay. And he's like, well, I work hard. And I'm thinking to myself, probably not harder than I work. It's those little lies that you tell yourself that give you permission to act badly. Or I remember once I was interviewing Big Ed White, who's one of our NFL players. So the Amen Clinics here, we're in the middle, are actually toward the end of a large-scale NFL study. And Big Ed White was 365 pounds and 6'2". And I said, Ed, what's the deal with your weight? He said, I have no control over my appetite. You know, if you see me as a patient, I don't let you lie to yourself. And I went, really? I said, you have absolutely no control over your appetite? And he thought about it and he said, well, that's really not true. I do have some control. And I'm thinking to myself, of course you have some control. But when you believe the lie, I have no control over my appetite, you've just given yourself permission to eat anything you want, at any time you want. Another one of my players said, I'm overweight because everybody in my family's overweight. Or I have other people say, my family gets Alzheimer's disease, I'm going to get it. And what they don't realize is about 30% of your health is related to your genes. 70% of your health is related to your behavior. So my genes, too, say I should be fat. I actually did the genetic test from 23andMe. It's a company online. You can spit in a cup and send it to them, and they'll tell you what your genetic vulnerabilities are. And I have a 65% chance that I would be fat, but I'm not. Why? Because I don't engage in the behaviors that would make me fat. So those families where you see the grandfather and the father and the daughter and the grandchildren are obese, in part it's because they're engaging in behaviors that make them that way. Everything in moderation. It's another one of those little lies, because when you actually add up all the things they have to do in moderation, there's no way they could be healthy. Or I can't find time to work out. I just had a conversation actually with one of our NFL players who I saw for his follow-up scan, which was much better, but not as good as it could be. And I'm like, are you exercising? He said, no. And it's like, well, I don't have time. And I'm like, when you don't have any time if you're dead, that making an appointment to exercise is as important as brushing your teeth, and you should brush your teeth because gum disease is a risk factor for Alzheimer's disease. So getting rid of the little lies, or it's Easter, or Memorial Day, or 4th of July, or coming up Labor Day, or Thanksgiving, or Christmas, or New Year's Eve, or it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. I mean, there's always a reason to cheat. There's always a reason to not be a warrior for your brain health. But what I want to challenge you today is whenever you feel sad, mad, nervous, or out of control, I want you to write down the automatic thoughts that are going through your head and correct them. And so for those of you that are part of our online community, there's a brain journal, and at the bottom of the brain journal, you can write down the thoughts going through your head. Or one of my favorite rooms in the online community, the Amen Solution, is the Kill the Ants room. Because if you go there, what you find is this exercise. Whenever you feel sad, mad, nervous, or out of control, it'll actually walk you through a very specific exercise I'm going to tell you about. So, this technique I have built over a long period of time is incredibly simple. And it's based on a therapy called cognitive therapy, or therapy for your thoughts. It was first developed by Aaron Beck at the University of Pennsylvania. They studied it repeatedly, and they found that this technique that I'm going to share with you can be as effective as antidepressant medication for people with anxiety and depressive disorders. It's been shown to help couples. It's been shown to help people who have eating disorders. There's one study from Sweden that says if you do the technique that I'm going to share with you every day for 10 weeks, people lost 17 pounds, where this was their major intervention, was learning how to correct the automatic negative thoughts that went through their mind. So it's based on some simple ideas. Every time you have a thought, your brain releases chemicals. Every single time you have a thought. When you have bad thoughts, angry thoughts, hopeless thoughts, helpless thoughts, your brain releases the set of chemicals that make you feel bad. How do we know this? Well, we've done imaging work that demonstrated it. But I'm also a biofeedback therapist, so in biofeedback what we do is we put measuring devices on your hands, so for hand temperature and sweat gland activity. We also look at muscle tension, something very interesting called heart rate variability, and your breathing rate. And when people focus on negative thoughts, say I had the thought, no one would sign up today, or no one will like my talk today. What immediately happens is your hands get cold, you start to sweat, your muscles get tense, your heart rate variability goes down, which is a sign of stress, and your breathing rate gets faster and more shallow, so it becomes actually less efficient. And all of those things happen immediately with negative thoughts. Now, the opposite is true, that good thoughts cause your brain to release chemicals that help you feel happy and positive. And immediately what happens when you think of something that makes you happy is your hands get drier, they get warmer, your muscles become more relaxed, your heart rate variability goes up, and your breathing goes down and becomes more efficient. And it happens immediately. So I used to hook people up to these biofeedback instruments, and then I'd ask them questions. So I'd ask them, think about your mother. And if your mother is a happy idea, so like my mom, who I adore, who's like one of the world's best moms, when I think about her, my hands get warmer, they get drier, my heart rate variability goes up, and so on. If, on the other hand, your mom was someone who beat you, who was not a good mom, and you started thinking about her, you get this automatic stress response. So it's very important to know that thoughts are powerful, and they cause emotional, physical, chemical reactions in your body. Thoughts are automatic, they just happen. They're based on complex chemical reactions and things from your past, like memories. But what most people don't know is your thoughts, your moment-by-moment thoughts, lie a lot. And that you don't have to believe every thought you have. In fact, this is something that they should have taught you in second grade. And it's interesting, I was just in my daughter's second grade class earlier this year, and I taught them about this, and it was so easy that they immediately got the concept, but no one had ever taught them. And I wish someone would have taught me when I was in second grade, because if I would have gotten this idea, it would have helped with a lot of suffering in my life. So thoughts lie, and if you want to be better, you have to take control of your own thoughts.
Well, that was the video. I hope we got something out of it. I'm going to try to close out of this video. And I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. So we talked about, we watched a video on the automatic negative thoughts. I'm going to ask, what is your ant infestation? Why are ants so harmful? Negative thoughts cause your brain to immediately release chemicals that affect every cell in your body, making you feel bad. The opposite is true with positive thoughts. How to kill the ants. First of all, write them down. Every time you have a negative thought that comes into your head, write it down. And then you can identify the thoughts. You have all or nothing thoughts, thinking that things are either all good or all bad. You know, as often I think about my stroke, and it's not all bad. There's some good parts to it. Less than ants, comparing and seeing yourself less than others. Well, I compare myself to everybody all the time. I'm always constantly telling people, oh, I had a stroke. Why? Because I'm embarrassed sometimes about my physical abilities. But no, I'm not any worse than anybody else. I'm just a person that has a situation. Just the bad ants, seeing only the bad in every situation. I have this problem all the time when I try to tell people I can't drive because of my stroke left me with terrible balance and my ability to focus is bad. Guilt-bearing ants, labeling ants, attaching negative labels to yourself or someone else. Well, I attach negative labels to myself all the time.
Joe, you're not seeing the screen.
You're not seeing it?
No, I didn't want to interrupt you right in the middle of a word, but when you said you were going to share it, you didn't share. It didn't come up.
I didn't share it. I'm sorry.
Well, you may have. We're not.
I'm new at this. So let me go back a couple. Well, we'll start here. How to kill the ants. First of all, write down your Can you see the screen now?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I'm new at this. So write down your automatic negative thoughts. Whenever you have a negative thought, write it down. Identify the ants. The all or nothing ants, thinking that things are either all good or all bad. The less than ants, comparing and seeing yourself as less than others. Just the bad ants, only seeing the bad parts of your personality or your thoughts. Guilt-bearing, feeling guilty about your condition. Labeling ants, attaching negative label to yourself and someone else. Fortune-telling ants, your thoughts are your predictions of what's going to happen in your future. Mind-reading ants, believing you know what other people are thinking, even though they haven't told you. If only, I'll be happy. And then the blaming ants, where you blame yourself. Ask yourself if the thought is true. Ask yourself how you feel when you have these thoughts. Then ask, how would you feel without them? Make anti-ant killing a daily habit. Remember your ants Remember your bad thoughts, your negative thoughts, and kill them. It takes practice. You just can't do it once and think you've mastered your thinking patterns. When you make it a daily practice, you'll feel freer, less anxious and depressed, and less trapped in the past that hurts you. So I'm going to ask you, and if you want to turn on your mics and respond, please do. What are your negative thoughts? What do you think is negative? I know I have them all the time. I can't work anymore. I can only work for a couple hours and I have to sit down because I'm tired. I lose focus on doing something. I lose my concentration. Do you believe your thoughts? I get into it sometimes, but I believe that I'm less than I used to be. Are your thoughts lying to you? Yeah, they are lying to me. I do have limitations. I do have challenges, but you know what? I'm living a pretty decent life. What thoughts put you in a happy place? This is probably the most important thing. It's called IPR, or immediate positive response. When you have these ants and you think bad about yourself, you think bad about your situation, think of something that takes you to a happy place. Me, it's my yard, it's my garden, it's my vegetable garden, it's my flower gardens, and it's my home, my projects, my decorating projects I'm doing inside my home that's making me feel good.